We can start.
Just a minute, sir. It's almost done. We can start now, sir.
All right. Friends, welcome to today's webinar on annual returns.
Sir, your camera is off.
Video.
It's not coming up?
Yeah,
Yes,
now it's
it's
coming.
fine, sir.
Yeah. So I'm sure everyone are busy in filing the annual returns, and today's session would be handled by Jagdish, and along with Jagdish, a colleague Bharti is there. It's very important that why I suggest people always attend a session before they file, because this is the last opportunity to fix any of the issues that you have for filing the returns. And there could have been definitely an errors in filing GSTR-9 and 3B, which would have been noticed while finalizing your stat audit. The biggest thing is considering this as your last opportunity to correct. And even before you file your GSTR-9, you really need to know what are the errors that have happened in GSTR-9, because in 9 also you could have made some errors. So today's webinar is about understanding the format of the 9, nuances like what data has to be filled where. But the important point of today's session would be the second part, where Bharti would be walking you through how GST Zen will assist you simplify in filing your returns. On this note, I request Jagdish to begin the session.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for your introduction. Yeah, the basic session flow of today's session is first we'll discuss about the basic structure of GSTR-9 and 9C, and what information we need to report in the GSTR-9, and what is the source of information to fill it in the 9 and 9C, and then we'll see ITC reconciliation, and then we'll see key validation. What are the key validation that we need to check before filing of the GSTR-9, and how we can use the GST Gen software to simplify the GST-9 filing, that will be explained by my colleague Bharati. So let's begin. First, we'll see the major what is the GSTR-9, what the and 9C, what the key difference between 9 and 9C. I will call the GSTR-9 as a statement of the fact, because in GSTR-9 I need to report what is actually done. That is the turnover on which I have taxes paid, and the ITC what I have actually availed, and the ITC what I actually reversed. Only that I need to report in the GSTR-9. Whereas on the other side, we see the GSTR-9C, what you should be done, what is supposed to be done, what the actual tax is payable, and what is the actual exemptions as per the GST law, and what are the actual taxes payable, and what are the ITC I am eligible. Only that I need to report in the table 9C. This is the broad view of the GSTR-9 and 9C. We will get to understand more in the later slides. We'll discuss about the GSTR-9 and 9C, and about each table we'll discuss in detail. So let's start with the turnover part. If the turnover reported in the GSTR-1 as per the books, and the 3B also I have reported the same, and in the GSTR-9 also the same will be need to report. Whereas this is the happy part for us. If there may be situations that I have missed to report the turnover in the GSTR-1, but the liability on the same has been discharged in the GSTR-3B. In that case, I have discharged the, if you see in the previous slide, the turnover on which taxes is paid is required to report in the GSTR-9. So the turnover I missed to report in the GSTR-1, but the liability on the same have discharged through GSTR-3B. So in that case, I can report the same in the GSTR-9. On the contrary, if you report the turnover in GSTR-1, but on the same you have not discharged the liability, in that case, you are not allowed to report it in the GSTR-9. It will be form part of the reconciliation statement, that is the 9C. So now coming to the last case, you have reported in GSTR-1, and the liability not discharged through 3B. Liability discharged through DRC-03. In that case also, you this will be form part of the GSTR-9, because the turnover on which tax is actually paid need to report it in the GSTR-9. So this is the basic structure how to report the turnover in the GSTR-9. So we'll see how to report and where to report in each table. So this is the basic structure of entire GSTR form GSTR-9. It is beautifully drafted and it is divided into total 6 parts. In the part 1, we need to report the just basic detail, that is a GST and year of filing, and the and those basic details we need to report in the part 1. Then coming to the part 2 all about the turnover and liability, and it is further divided into 2 parts, table 4 and a table 5. In the table 4, we need to report all those turnover which is subject to GST, and the turnover on which GST is not applicable is required to report in the table 5. Now coming to the next part is input tax credit, that is part 3. It is further divided into the 3 parts, table 6, table 7 and table 8. Table 8 is not relevant as of now. No. In the table 6, we need to report the gross ITC, and in the table 7, reverse all the reversals, ITC reversals, we need to report in the table 7. Whereas table 8 is the reconciliation of the ITC availed with the GSTR 2A. Okay. Now coming to the obviously next part is taxes paid and taxes payable. That is the table 9. The table 5, that's the subsequent year adjustments. RJ Hoban, there may be a chances that we miss to report the turnover or ITC in the same year that we have identified in the later period and reported in the subsequent year. All the transactions which have reported in the subsequent year, all those needs to be reported in the table 10 to table 14. Table 10-12 related to turnover, and the 13-14 is related to ITC. So we'll see in detail about these tables also. And then the part 6 is the other miscellaneous information we need to report it here. That is the ITC, HSN outward, HSN inward, any demand is there, any shock or note, any refund claimed, and how much refund we have got sanctioned. All the miscellaneous information we need to report in the table 6. This is the broad structure of the form GSTR-9. So let's also see the structure of the GSTR-9C also. It is divided into the 5 parts, and as you know, part 1 is all about the basic info, and the part 2, in the part 2 we need to report all the turnover details. It is divided into 4 parts, table 5 to 8, and next table is the tax payable and the tax paid, part 3. And the part 4 is all about the input tax credit. We need to report, and further it is divided into again 4 tables, table 12 to table 16. And the part 5, there is any additional liability that we need to report in the table 5, part 5. So please don't be confused by seeing all these tables. Surely, as we once you start filling the GSTR-9 and 9C, you will have more idea how data is flowing through GSTR-9 and 9C. Coming to the source of how to fill GSTR-9. What is the basic source of information for filing GSTR-9? The primary information for filing GSTR-9 is your 3B and your file GSTR-1, consolidated GSTR-1, obviously your altered books, and the GSTR-2B. In addition to this, you will also require a GSTR-3B of next year, because in as I discussed in the previous slide, in the GSTR-9, the part 5, all the adjustments which have been made in the subsequent year are required to report in the table 10 to 14. So you require the table GSTR-3B of the next year and the GSTR-9 of the previous year. To this information we need to report in the table 12 of the GSTR-9C. That also we will see. And if there are any DRC-03 tax payments, that we need to report in the miscellaneous tax payments. And also the miscellaneous information we need to report in the part 6, that is the reference claim details and notice or orders from department that we need to report. So all this information is required to file GSTR-9. So with the help of GST Gen, with a single click, we can get all this information. So it's suggestible to use the technology to prepare the GSTR-9. So now we'll see the table wise how to report the turnover. This is the 9C. So just a second. Yeah. Uh, this is the turnover, how to report the turnover. If you see the table 5A is the turnover as per the audited financial statements. As we all know that books of accounts are prepared based on the accounting standards and the respective Ind AS. Whereas GST revenue is driven by the time of supply provision, that is section 13 and section 12, section 13 and red with section 31. So obviously, definitely there will be a difference between the turnover as per the books and the turnover as per the GST, because both are driven by the different books of accounts are driven by the account standards, whereas GST is driven by the time of supply. So now we have to carve out the adjustment from the audited financials and arrive the turnover as per the GST. Now you compare the both the turnover as per the books and the GST. If you see the unbilled revenue will be recognized in the books of accounts, whereas as per the GST, it will not be turnover. In the GST, only when the invoice is read, then only it will become turnover as per the GST. So that adjustments like that should be carved out from the books of accounts and arrive the turnover as per the GST. If you see here, table 5P, annual turnover after adjustments above. This is the turnover as per GST after carving out all these adjustments from 5B to 5O. So now you are comparing this 5P with the 5Q. That is the turnover reported in the GSTR-9. If everything is fine, you will not get the difference if you have reported properly in the returns. Otherwise, you will get different. You need to provide the reasons why that difference has come out. So now we'll see um, part 2. So in the as I discussed, part 2 is divided into table 4 and a table 5. In the table, the turnover after carving out, after identifying the turnover, we need to bifurcate the turnover into two parts. The turnover on which GST is applicable and the turnover on which GST is not applicable. Turnover which is subject to GST, I need to report it in the table 4. And the turnover which is not subject to GST, I need to report in the table 5. We'll see what is the turnover that is um, uh, that we'll see it in the let us slide. We'll see the first we'll see the table 4. In the table 4, I need to further bifurcate the turnover as B2C, B2B exports with payment, SEZ with payment, and deemed exports, because all these are subject to tax. That's why I need to report in the table 4. And also in the table 4F, I need to report the unadjusted advances. And along with my turnover, that the inward supplies on which I require to pay the tax under reversals, that also will be form part of the table 4G. Actually, this table 4G is not my turnover. This is the inward supply. But even then, I need to report it in the table 4. And in the next part, table 4I to 4L, there is any adjustments from table 4B to 4E, that is B2B exports with payment, SZ with payment, deemed export, that I need to report in the 4I to 4L. That is credit note, debit note, any upward amendment, downward amendments, I need to report it here. You have an option to report the B2B exports with payment as a net figure after netting of the debit note, credit note amendment, or else you can disclose it as a gross figure for gross figure, and the credit note or debit note you can report separately in the 4I, 4J, 4K, 4L. Let's say if the 100 is my turnover and I have issued the credit note of 20 rupees. Actually, my actual net turnover is 80. You can report straightly 80 rupees in the 4B, or else you can report 100 rupees here in B2B and 20 rupees in the credit note 4I. Then also 4B minus 4I, your net turnover is 80. So you have an option. If you cannot bifurcate between gross and net, you can report a net figure. Now coming to the next slide, the table 5 of the GSTR-9. So what I said in the previous slide, in the table 5, the turnover which is not subject to GST is required to report in the table 5. Just a second, some questions are there. There is one question. Sir, how can we declare the credit note in the GSTR-9? Yes. Yeah. The credit note you can the credit note you can declare it in the 4I. The 4B, if the B2B, it's a B2B credit note, you can net it off in the 4B itself. 4B 100 minus 20 here itself, or else here you can declare the 100 in the 4B and 20 rupees in the 4I. In that way also you can declare. So now coming to the table 5, as I discussed earlier, in the table 5, the turnover which is not subject to GST is required to report in the table 5. So if you see here in the table 5, zero rated supply, export without payment, SZ without payment, and exempted turnover, nil rated, non-GST supply includes no supply. That means the scheduled transaction will also covered here, and supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption and supply of petroleum products, all will be covered here in the non-GST supply. All the transactions on which GST is not applicable are required to report in the table 5. Whereas in the table 4, the turnover on which GST is applicable is required to report in the table 4. And in the table 5, the turnover on which GST is not applicable is required to report in the table 5. So my table 4 plus table 5 is my net turnover. So all the similar to the table 4, any adjustments of credit note, debit note, or amendment to the above table 5A to 5A, 5A required to report in table 5H to 5K. This is the basic of table of reporting of the turnover in the GSTR-9. Hope it is clear to all. Any doubts on the turnover part?
Sir, there are a couple of questions can you see the chat, please?
Yes, yes. In all other ITC table 4A5 reclaim. That ITC will discuss later part. Surely I will discuss about that also, that reclaim temporary reversal part.
Okay.
Is my audio is not clear? Someone has said that the audio is not clear. Is my audio is clear?
Yeah, sir, we can hear you.
So all the questions are related to the ITC part only. Sure, I will discuss about all that.
Okay, sir. Okay.
How can we declare GTA charges paid 23-24 related for the period 22-23 where it's showing in GST-9? Yes, that's a good question. So many are committing mistakes here only in reporting of the RCM. If any RCM pertaining to 22-23, liability discharge in a subsequent year, that is in the 23-24, then that RCM has to be reported in the GSTR-9 of 23-24 only, not in 22-23. Only the liability what we have discharged in the 22-23, only that part you need to report in the current period GSTR-9. If any liability discharged in a subsequent year of RCM, you need to report that in the 23-24 GSTR-9 only. Okay, wait to show bank interest. Bank interest is exempted under 12/2017 notification. So you need to report it in the table 5D, exempted or nil rated. Either you club exempted or nil rated, anywhere you can show it on. That the turnover of financial year 21-22, as I have claimed in April 23, so that ITC turnover, so that ITC we should add in actual ITC. Sir, here we have mentioned turnover, but in the question we have asked for ITC. So that ITC we should add in the actual ITC. Sorry, the question is not clear. Redmi. So, okay, the ITC part we'll discuss in the later slides. Okay. So hope, yeah. To sum up, in the table 5 and as I discussed, table in the 4G is not my turnover, it's my inward supply on which RCM is payable. So from the table 4 and I'm removing the RCM turnover and I'm adding the 5M. So that's my net turnover. What all should be included in the turnover? Actual, the taxable and exempted I need to include it, and any amendments in 22, 23, and also in 23, 24, and also debit note, credit note, that also I have to include, and also non-GST includes no supply. All that I need to be added in this table 4 and table 5. To sum up, reporting based on the tax paid. As I said earlier, only the turnover on which tax has been paid will only form part of the GSTR-9. If I have paid the tax in 22, 23 itself, it will be form part of table 4. Whereas I have discharged the liability in the subsequent year, that is the 23, 24, then that will be form part of table 10 and the table 11. If it is upward, if it is a debit note or upward, then I need to report in the table 10. If it is a credit note, then I need to report it in the table 11. And if I discharge the liability through DRC 03, so in that case also it will be form part of table 4, not the table. If you discharge the liability in the subsequent year through DRC 03 also, even that case also you need to report it in the table 4 only. And I have not paid the tax at all. So nowhere in the GSTR-9 we need to report, don't show. It will be the reconciliation difference in the 9C. There you, as per you, it is not taxable. And there you, in the 9C, you will get a difference. You provide a reason there in the 9C. Now we'll see the ITC reporting. Yes. So ITC, in the ITC part, in the table 6, table 7, table 8, and these are all the ITC table. In that table 6, here I need to report the gross ITC avail. I purposefully striking off the as per the 3B because you would have committed the mistakes at the time of filing the monthly GSTR 3B returns. Because let's take an example. You have claimed the ITC on imports in the all other ITC. Don't fill as you reported in the GSTR 3B. Please note that GSTR-9 is the last opportunity to correct the mistakes. So at the time of filing 3B, ITC on import, you have claimed in all other ITC. Now reduce the all other ITC and claim the ITC on imports in the respective table. Okay. And in the table 7, reversal as per 3B. And all the reversals, what you have made as per 3B, you need to report it in the table 7. And the table 8 is the reconciliation part, reconciliation of actual ITC availed with the 2A. Now the table 8 has no relevance because you are availing the ITC as per 2B, not as per 2A. Earlier you are earlier there is a concept, but the now new return filing scheme, only you can avail the ITC based on the 2B. That comparison is not correct. Soon they will remove the table 8 because now there is no relevance. So I advise you all to reconcile your ITC avail with the GST 2B and upload the statement in the 9C at the time of filing the 9C. Now coming to the 9C, the table 12, we need in the table 12 we need to reconcile the ITC as per the books and ITC availed as per the returns. If there is any difference, so please provide the reasons there in the table 13. And in the table 14, you need to provide the expense-wise bifurcation. Coming to the how the credit flow of GST-3B into the GSTR-9. So matching of in the GSTR-9, table 6A is the auto-populated figure from the consolidated GST-3B. That's the gross ITC before reversal. So in the 6B, you need to provide the breakup of all other ITC. And 6H is, and in the 6B and 6H. For filling the 6B and the table 6H, you may use the 4A5 of the GSTR-3B. If you see the 4A5, in the 4A5, there will be a duplicate rate also because there is a, as I discussed in previous slide, that temporary reversal and permanent reversal concept is there from the last year, August month return onwards. Because if there is a temporary reversal and you have reclaimed the ITC, then you will add up in the 4A5, and the same will be report what you have added in the 4A5, the same will be reported in the 41. Ideally, so 6B figure is nothing but 4A5 minus 4D1. That is reclaimed credit minus how much I have reclaimed, that I anywhere that I will report in the 41. So 4A5 minus 41 is my 6B. And whatever the amount I reported in the 41, that the temporary reclaimed ITC, that will be the 6H. So so don't give the breakup of 4A5 entirely. 4A5, you bifurcate 4A5 into two parts, the actual ITC and the reclaimed ITC. The reclaimed ITC, you report it in the table 6H, and the actual ITC, you have available in the same one. So that you need to, you provide the bifurcation in the 6B table itself. Okay. Now coming to the table 6 and table 60, here you need to provide the reverse charge credit details, and then the table 6C, import of the goods. In the table 6F, import of services. In the table 6C, you have to provide the details of the IST credit. So for all this, you can use all these tables. 4A3, you can, these are the reference tables of the GST3B, from where you can take the information to fill the GSTR-9. Now coming to the ITC of 22-23. If I have availed the ITC of 22-23 in the same year, then it will be, I need to provide, I need to report it in the table 6. If I avail the 22-23 credit in the 23-24, then I need to report in the table 13. Similar way, reversal also. If I reverse the credit of 22-23 in the same financial year, then I need to report it in the table 7. If I reverse the credit in the subsequent year, that is up to the November 30th November, then I need to report it in the table 12. So some questions are there. Sir, we have rental income and raise invoice and receipt of income, but they have shown in for 26 years financial year 22-23. April 23 customer shown in GSTR-9. As per your books, you have shown it in the 22-23 itself. So in the 9 also, you have to report it in the table 4 only, that in the same financial year 22-23. Maybe your customer may revise the TDS return, so they may prepone that 26A statement to the Q4 of 22-23. There may be a chances. But actually, you have to see your final audited books where you have shown whether you have declared it in the 22-23 or 23-24. If you in your books you have shown the turnover in the 22-23 itself, then in the same year in the 9 also it will come in the same year. So temporary ITC reversed in GST-3B, way to declared in the GSTR-9. All the reversals will form part of the, if you reverse in the same year, then in the table 7, if the temporary ITC reclaimed in 22-23, that reclaimed ITC you need to report in the table 6H. Okay. Can you please show an example for table 6 reporting? The ITC carry forward is showing a difference, and also ITC reclaimed is showing up twice in 6A. Yes, that's what I said. The table 6A, there will be a duplication. From table 6A, you need to bifurcate into two parts. What's the actual ITC? What's the reclaimed ITC? In the table 4A5, the reclaimed of temporary reversal will be added to the 4A5. That will be auto-populated in the table 6A. Now you bifurcate that table 6A into two parts, actual ITC and the reclaimed ITC. For reclaimed ITC, you can use the table 4D1. Okay. So that reclaimed from table 6A, the part of reclaimed ITC, you disclose it in the table 6H, and the actual ITC, you report it in the table 6B. Okay. So ITC reconciliation with the books. Net ITC, that is that in the table 6, I will disclose the gross ITC, and in the table 7, I report the reversal. So table 6 minus 7 is the table 7J. It will be flow to my GSTR-9, table 12 of the GSTR-9C. So to this, ITC level for the previous financial table 13 of the GSTR-9 minus reversal of ITC level during the previous financial year. That is the table 12 of GSTR-9. It will be matched with my ITC as per my books. This reconciliation we need to provide it in the table 12 of the GSTR-9C. So one more question is there. Interest income exempted or nil rated. Exempted or nil rated are the same. Either you can club it in the exempted itself. There is a clarification also on this. For exempted and nil rated, you can club it and declare it in the exempted supplies itself. Reclaim ITC and reversed ITC in others, where in GSTR-9. Reclaimed ITC and reversed ITC. Sorry, sir, can you please come again? Madhav Latnakar. Reclaim ITC and reverse ITC in others, where in GST. Temporary reversal where to be declared in GST. Table 7. Whatever the reversal you have made in the GST 3B, that you need to declare it in the table 7. If you made in the same year, okay. Can you please show an example of table 6 reporting? The ITC carry forward is showing a different, this we already declared. Temporary, where to declare? Sir, we have rental income, this we already discussed. Okay. Sir, earlier to be was showing credit notes in reversal columns, later on they change the structure, and then it was showing a net off of credit notes and all other ITC. Yes, if we have, yes, now credit notes are netting off with all other ITC. On the if you have not availed the ITC on the original invoice itself, then you add back the credit note, because on the original invoice itself we have not availed the ITC, but supplier has write the credit note now. So what auto-populated figure will come with the net off. So you add back the credit note to the 4A5. Reclaim ITC shown in 6H. There is difference in table 8. So as I discussed earlier, now there is no relevance for the table 8 because you are availing the ITC based upon the 2B, not 2A. So this table will be updated with the 2B, or they will remove the table 8. Table 8 is showing, obviously, definitely it will show it as access, because in the 4A5, there will be a reclaimed ITC also along with the auto populated ITC. That is why you are getting an access available in the table 8. So it is comparing table 2A with the 6B and 6H. So please suggest the reason for the table 8. Yes, this we already discussed. So we'll see what are all the optional tables for the 22-23. So in the table 6, you need to table 6B, you need to bifurcate the input into 3 parts: capital goods, inputs, input services. But here they have given relaxation. You mandatorily required to provide the capital goods information, whereas if you can't bifurcate inputs and input services, you altogether put it in the inputs. Only requirement is that mandatorily you required to report the capital goods in the 6B. And HSN wise, outward is mandatory, whereas still the inward HSN details are optional. And other optional tables are table 12, 13, that is regarding with the ITC, what we have availed subsequently and what we have reversed in the subsequent year, that are optional tables still now. And also the miscellaneous information in the part 6 of the table 9, that is the table 15 and table 16. Any refunds, whatever the refunds we have claimed and how much refunds has been dispersed and how much refund had to be received, that all the details are required to give given in the table 15. Now it is optional. And then the table 16, additional information, all other miscellaneous information that is also optional as of now. Other than this, all are mandatory. So this is just a summary. What is the books turnover? Tax paid in 3B till March 2023 that I require to report in the table 4, and the tax which is discharged in the subsequent year that through GSTR 3B that I need to required to report in the table 10 and 11. And balance tax, still if any balance tax is required to be payable, then I require to report in the table 4. So this is my final turnover, table 4 plus 10 minus 11. This will flow to my GSTR 9C, and the actual taxes payable, the column 2 of, this is the comparison of the tax paid and the tax payable. And this is just a basic thing. So still, if you at that time, you are in December now, you have finalized the GSTR-9. Now you have identified there is an additional liability, maybe because of short payment of taxes, excess ITC claim, or ineligible ITC claim. So November 30 has got expired. Now you pay the liability through DRC 03, and please note that pay through the cash. DRC 03, because unless you have an ITC balance as on 31st March 2023, and that ITC balance is more than the liability what you are required to pay now through DRC 03, and the same balance is carry forward from 31st March 23 to till now, till the date of reversal. That ITC balance should be more than the liability what you are discharging through more, and the same balance should be carried forward from uh, that period to till the date of reversal. Otherwise, you don't use ITC to pay the DRC 03. So because you cannot set off the future, you cannot past liability, you cannot set off with the future ITC, because you are having the ITC balance now. But on the 31st March 2023, you don't have the ITC balance. So that's the past liability. Now you are getting the ITC. This is the current ITC. So past liability cannot be set off with the future credit. That's the reason it's advisable not to pay through the credit. So outward HSN reporting, the table 17, you need to report table 4 plus 5 plus 10 minus 11. And here you no need to report the advances RCM, because RCM is not my turnover. That's why I'm removing the 4G. In the 4G table, I need to report the inward RCM. And in the table for non-GST turnover also, I no need to report. So the table 17 should match with table 4 plus 5 plus 10, the subsequent turnover, this plus 10 and minus 11. This should match with my table 17 turnover. So 9C related validations. Okay, in 2 minutes we'll close. These are the 9C validation. Table 5 and now GSTR-9, that is excluding the RCM turnover plus 10 minus 11. This should match. This will flow to my 9C, table 5 of 9C. This is the same. This is the tax payable. Whatever the tax I reported, tax payable I reported in the GST of table 4 of GSTR-9 will flow to my GSTR-9, and the table 10 minus 11. This is my actual tax payable. So yeah, we'll take up questions. We have applied for refund during the year financially 22-23 for rupees 23,57,000. We got refund during the year 7,85,000. There are need to report in GSTR-9 where it, yes, in the miscellaneous table, that table yes, in the miscellaneous table you need to report that. So anyway, that is the optional table. If you want to report, you report it. Otherwise, you can also ignore it. So there is a rule with two table as temporary and permanent. Is that available now in 3B? There is a rule with two table. Sorry, I didn't get your question. What is the action taken again? Table ID showing excess ITC available. Please suggest the reason for this difference. That's the reason you are availing ITC based on 2B, not based on 2A. That's the reason you are getting the difference in the table 8D. Everyone will get a difference in the table 8D. Please don't worry. You can ignore that difference. Our department cannot issue notice by seeing the difference. The table 8 is comparing the 2A, not 2B. We had to declare the ITC, ineligible ITC in GSTR-9, which was not claimed in GSTR-3B but received in GSTR-2B. If you have identified at the time of filing GSTR-3B itself, you would have reported that in the permanent reversal, the 4B1. So in the same month, if you have reversed it in the permanent reversal, then that reversal you need to report it in the table 7 of the GSTR-9. Way to show purchase return. Purchase return, supplier will issue the credit note automatically in the auto-populated figure of the 4AFI. It will be net off and you will get the net figure. Yes, sir, we need to report in GSTR-9C with HSN wise or rate wise. Both the ways you need to report here. Okay, then we are running out of time. So we are providing your GST updates. You can scan this QR code and sign up for our WhatsApp group. We are sending only the important updates only. We are not spamming the group. You can join it. You can join the group by scanning the QR code here. Okay, and the next part will be taken up by colleague Bharati. Yeah, hello. Hello.
Yes, hi.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you for your informative presentation. I'll just be sharing my screen and showing you how everybody can file GSTR-9 with GST-Zen. Okay. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, Bharti, it's visible.
yes, it's
Okay, so this is the software GST-Zen. Once you sign up and log in, this is what your dashboard would look like. So here you can add all your GST numbers. It will show you the status of your recent returns, that is your GSTR-1, GSTR-3B and GSTR-9. So if you see wherever it is green, that means it is filed and it is filed on time. So wherever it's red, that means it is not filed yet or the software does not have that information as of now. If it is orange, it would mean that the return has been filed late. Plus, it will also show you whether you're logged in for the GST number or not. Okay. So other features that are available here is this autopilot and notices. So if you go to autopilot, let's say you want to download some return. So if you are downloading your R1 or your 3B, instead of going to each individual GST number, you would be able to select the GST numbers in bulk and give a command to start download for all those GST numbers. So you can perform multiple functions like that here. You can download different data like your 1, 2A, 2B, 3B or your e-invoices. You can also check the filing status for your multiple GST numbers like you do in the dashboard. You can also check for 1, 3B, 9 and 9C here. Okay. And then you have this notice management. Here you can manage the notices for all the GST numbers that are present in the account. It will, you can also download it in bulk. Okay, this was the basic introduction. Now moving on to filing of GSTR-9 and 9C. So I select the GST number from here. And then under file GST returns, we have the option GSTR-9 and 9C. I'm selecting GSTR-9, then the particular year. Okay. So first step would be to log in to the government portal with OTP. So I'm already logged into the government portal. The next step is to download the auto-calculated data from the government portal. So the government portal will provide you with the auto-calculated GSTR-9, which they have done based on their calculations and the data that is supplied to the portal. So you can fetch those details directly. The next thing you'd need is you'd need the filed returns of your GSTR-1 and 3B. Those we provide under our consolidated report page. Okay. So if I go here, you can see this is the page where I download all the details of 22 to 23, and you'll have to download the details of 23, 24 as well, because the details can be reported up till October return. So once this is downloaded, we provide a consolidated report which you can use to get all the figures in one report for filing of GSTR-9. So let me show you that report also, how that is, how that looks like. You can either download with 2A or you can download with 2B. It is just taking a few seconds to download. So here you get the yearly figures for your GSTR-1, GSTR-3B, GSTR-2B, and comparison between 1 and 3B, comparison between 2B and 3B. So you can compare the figures showing. One moment. You can compare your figures annually. You won't have to go to each return separately and do your workings. Let me show you a sample report. Okay, this is an example of the report, what it looks like. So you have raw data. First you have GSTR-1 consolidated.
Bharti?
Yeah.
Your screen is stuck, I guess.
Okay, my screen is stuck. Just a moment.
Or like we were not able to see the report that you were showing.
Okay, just a moment. I'll share the entire screen then. Okay, I hope the report is visible now.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, so it will show the GSTR-1 consolidated, all the figures for each month separately. Then you similarly you have GSTR-3B for each month. You'll have 3B figures separated into various tables. You can get the GSTR-1 summary of a year as a whole. Similarly, GSTR-3B. Then comparison of your 2A with 3B, or in case you want to download with 2B, 2B with 3B. So you can compare what ITC is available and what you have claimed in 3B. If you have uploaded your books to GSTZ, that comparison will also be given with 3B. Then you have GSTR-1 and GSTR-3B. This is also very important now because people are getting notices if the liability declared in GSTR-1 is not the same as the liability discharged in GSTR-3B. So you would be getting notices. So it is important to track that also. Here you will get those figures for the whole year. Okay, and then based on that, we also create a GSTR-9 summary based on your downloaded returns. So that also, those figures also you can get from Zen. This here is a sales overview, books versus GSTR-1. Then you have books versus GSTR-3B and GSTR-1 versus 3B. Similarly, you have purchase overview, books versus 2A, books versus 3B for purchases, and 2A versus 3B. So all of this information for the whole year you will get within the same file, and it will be helpful to you when you're filing your returns or auditing your books. Okay. So now going back to the GSTR-9 page, we have looked at the consolidated report. We had downloaded the auto-calculated data from the government portal. Okay. So now we go to this option, view and fill. So here we will have the auto-calculated data from the government portal. We have auto-calculated data by GST Zen based on your filed returns. Okay. And then we have values entered by you. So in values entered by you, the data will get auto-populated first from the government portal data. All of this is editable. So you can, if you want, you can change those figures, or if you want to go directly with the figures provided by the government portal, you can just save the form. All of this figure is coming from the government portal, and you can add the other details within these tables. Now, the next thing you would be doing is uploading your HSN summary of outward supplies and inward supplies. So you can upload this through an Excel here. In the portal, you'll have to add the entry one by one. Here, you would be able to upload through an Excel directly. Once you have prepared everything here, you can check the PDF to make sure what figures are going for your GSTR-9 for table 4 to 16. Then you can also check what would be uploaded to the portal if you upload it from here to the government portal. We have given an additional step. This is essentially the validations that are done by GST Zen. You can take a look at all these validations and make sure that you are passing. So once you are passing these validations, it means those you are filing correct GSTR-1. Even if some validations do not pass, you can go and check what is the reason. If there's a specific reason why this is not passing, you can correct it, or you can also leave it as it is. It will not hinder you in filing GSTR-9. It is just for your peace of mind, so that you're filing correct GSTR-9. So you should check this before you upload your return to the portal. So once you are satisfied with your GSTR-9, you upload it to the portal, and then you generate the summary. Whatever is uploaded to the portal will be reflected in the summary next. Then you submit the return, and you can file with OTP. So with very simple steps, you can file GSTR-9 through GST Zen. Next step would be your filing of GSTR-9C. Okay, so once you have filed GSTR-9, you download the filed return. Okay, so if it has not been filed, this process first step will fail. Okay, once this is done, so my GSTR-9 for this GST number is already filed, so I was able to download. Okay, now next step is fill your GSTR-9 form. You can modify, or you can upload your JSON. These details have come from GSTR-9 directly. You can use these, or you can change the values here. You can directly go with the figures provided in GSTR-9, or you can change those figures here. Once that is done, once it is done to your satisfaction, you save the form, go back from here, upload those relevant documents, that is your balance sheet, profit and loss, and other supporting documents. Many people find difficulty when they're uploading to the portal in the later days when the due date is very near. This process usually creates a lot of hassles, and you get problems while uploading these documents. So it's recommended that you file before due date, sometime before due date, and do not wait for the due date to come. If you file from here, it will be more easier because it is done through API. You can file GSTR-9C within 10 minutes if you're filing with your GSTR-9 data. Upload the documents from here. Once that is done, you upload the data, that is your return here that you have saved just now, to the portal. Then get the summary, proceed to file, and ultimately file the return either with OTP or using DSC. So the process is very simple for filing your GSTR-9 and 9C through Zen. Okay. So now that we have seen filing of 9 and 9C, let me tell you a little bit about additional features. We have filing of GSTR-1 and 3B. You can also create e-invoices and e-webils. Other things that are available are your GSTR-1, 2A, 2B reports for download. You can also reconcile your data, that is your purchase register with 2A, purchase register with 2B, sales register with GSTR-1, as well as your sales register with e-invoices. One other reconciliation that is beneficial for your GSTR-9 is your GSTR-2A versus 8A, table 8A of GSTR-9. So that report is also available here. If you want to check what invoices are coming in GSTR-2A and which of them are eligible as per table 8A of GSTR-9, that report will also be provided by GST Zen to you from here. So all the data that is required for filing, you can gather in one place, get those reports, and easily file GSTR-9. So that was all for the demo of filing your GSTR-9 and 9C. Going back, are there any questions at this point?
I would allow all the participants to unmute themselves and ask the queries if they have. Or you can even post your queries in the chat. Any questions? Please feel free to ask questions. I think, Bharti, that's all. We can close for today.
Okay. Thank you everyone for participating in this session. If you have any questions regarding GSTR-9, 9C, or you have any questions regarding the software itself, please reach out to us. Utkarsh, can you please show the numbers?
Yeah, sure. Just a minute.
And the email ID. We will be emailing the PPT to all the participants. I think there is one question from Mr. Rajesh. Jagdish sir, if you could answer. Yeah.
GSTR-9C can be done if on what way builders say. More than actually says below lakhs. Sorry, sir, I didn't get understand your question. Can you please unmute yourself and ask the question? GSTR-9C can be done if on what base builder sale is more than 5 lakh, but actually say below 5 lakh.
Okay, so if it is not,
You can research, sir. You can mail us venu@vnv.ca or yeah,
you can also email us on support@GSTzen.
support@gstgen.in so that we'll answer your queries. Okay, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir, for
Okay,
your
thank you.
very valuable.
Thank you all for attending.
Okay, Utkarsh, I think we can end the session here.
Okay, sure. One second. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining the webinar. We are closing the session.